All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, is the Major League Baseball season over with? Well, we'll try to give you the up-to-date information we can. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take. All right, welcome back. It is The Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So if you were listening at this time during the show yesterday, we had former MLB All-Star Johnny Damon on the show. And as we were interviewing him, in the middle of the interview, news broke about the Miami Marlins on pause. We know that 15 players have contracted the coronavirus. 2 within the team have the virus as well, so a total of 17 people. And we know that the situation Florida is going through right now. So Major League Baseball said, nope, that's it. Until further notice, the Miami Marlins will not be playing any baseball games. I think that's the right decision. So the question is there going to be baseball? Johnny Damon says he thinks there will, but the problem is, if this happens to 1 or 2 more organizations, I don't think it's going to happen. But we do have Major League Baseball going on right now, and I want to play you a little bit of audio of something that took place yesterday. It was between Dodgers pitcher Joe Kelly throwing balls at Astros' Carlos Correa. Threw it at his head.
He did, yeah.
And then
he threw it 97 miles an hour at his head.
Which is very dangerous. And I've always said if you're going to
he's a little guy with a big arm.
Well, I've always said if you're going to peg batters intentionally, you better go to the lower portion of their body, because you hit somebody in the head with a baseball, can end their career, could end their life. So I want to play this a little bit of audio for you. This is the benches clearing. There is a funny moment there because it's kind of like one of those coronavirus social distancing bench brawls, so to speak, for lack of a better term. Have a listen to this.
Correa 2 for 2 tonight. Look out. That was an off-speed pitch that spills him. Correa now looking out there.
Do not apologize. Let the fear, let the mystery of what was that about, let that linger in the hitter's eyes.
So the benches have cleared, and we'll do our best to maintain social distancing while still sending a message both sides. I kind of just want to sit here and listen, since you can hear just about everything.
Have you ever heard anything like that before? We'll see if they maintain social distancing while this all-out, benches clearing up. It wasn't really a brawl, but the benches cleared. It's just weird. I've never heard anything like that before.
A lot of unhappiness.
The bench is clear. We'll see in this pandemic how they react with social distancing. But anyway, there are reports that Dusty Baker said that Joe Kelly told Carlos Correa, "Nice swing, bitch." I don't know if that's true or not, but that allegedly.
I mean, is that enough? Is that enough for a benches clearing brawl?
Probably
during a pandemic.
Probably not.
Come on.
Probably not. But
Carlos Correa is a bit of a prima donna.
Well, a bit
of a prima donna. Yeah, he. What did he do? He told someone to shut the F up. Remember that? I can't remember exactly what the context was.
Well, we tell each other that all the time.
No, I mean we actually don't. But no, it was in response to some. Oh yes, I think someone said that. It might have been Mike Trout. Mike Trout said that.
I don't remember.
Someone prominent in baseball said that the Astros didn't deserve that championship. They needed that championship taken away.
Right.
And he stood up for the team and said you shouldn't talk about what you don't know. Shut the F up. That's what happened.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was just weird to hear a commentator.
Oh yeah, really.
When 2 benches clear, to hear the commentator say, "Well, social distancing. Let's see how this thing plays out." Just a little weird. So let's go back to the Marlins, though. What I was talking about a little bit earlier, the fact that 15 players have contracted the virus. 2 other members of the team, not players.
It's total of 19. Total of 19, including coaches and players.
So Major League Baseball, I think, made the right decision. You can't have a team playing when you have that many people that have the virus. So. Could this mean the Marlins season ends because of this?
No. They're actually coming back to play next Sunday. Their games are canceled until Sunday. As of right now. Yeah.
Don't you think it hurts the integrity of the season?
But they've also played the Nationals. They've played the Phillies. There have been there's been a lot of tests done, and there has been no positives. So a bunch of these guys had the virus, and they played the games with 2 other teams, and no one from the teams got that virus. That's a very good sign.
But here's my question, though.
There's some false positives on the Marlins team.
There's no proof of that.
And it didn't come from Florida. It actually came from Atlanta.
Okay, well, we don't know that for sure.
They didn't get the virus in Florida. They got it.
Okay, so what happens? What happens, JD, if down the road we have a couple other organizations that are going through the same thing where 10, 20 people contract the virus? What does Major League Baseball do if we have 2 or 3 other teams in the same situation where the Marlins are in right now? What does Major League Baseball do?
Well, as long as they're spread out, that should be fine. The problem is I would say it's 4 or 5. If 4 or 5 teams catch the virus in that amount, which is a lot. I mean, that means that 33% of the entire team has the virus, which is a little wild to me to hear. But if that happens, then I think you could see a suspension and at least the start of a shutdown. But it has to be at once. Now, if the Braves get 6 players and the Yankees get 6 players or 10 players and it happens different months or it happens weeks apart, then it shouldn't make a difference. But if you have 4 or 5 teams at the same time with 10-plus players, then that conversation starts, in my opinion.
Okay, so here's a similar question that I'll ask the listeners now. You heard JD's answer. I don't know if I completely agree with that, but here's my question. First of all, do you think this hurts the integrity of the Major League Baseball season? To our listeners, that's the first question I will ask. The second question that I will ask is this. Do you think we will actually have an NFL season, even though the NBA and the NHL are sort of in their bubbles? There's a couple different sites in the NHL, but do you think we're going to have a full, at least what they say is going to be an NBA season and playoffs, including the NHL? Do you think we are going to have a Major League Baseball season after what took place with the Marlins? I'm going to open up the phone lines. What do you guys think that? Hold on. What do you guys think that this means for sports in general? Now I'm going to open up the phone lines. Number to call is 702-257-5396. And again, if you want to be a part of the conversation, give us a buzz right now. 257-5396. Do you think what has transpired with the Miami Marlins over the course of the last 24 hours will not only affect the season in Major League Baseball, but could affect the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, the PGA Tour? We've already had a couple players on the PGA Tour that have contracted the virus, including one who lives right here in Las Vegas. What do you think is going to happen to sports in general? My personal opinion, JD gave you his. My personal opinion is I have a feeling that Major League Baseball's in a lot of trouble. I think that this is going to happen to at least several other franchises. I think the NFL is in a lot of trouble. Why? Because they're going to different sites. There's a lot of people on an NFL team. I think the NBA is going to be okay as long as players aren't leaving the bubble going to strip clubs. I think the NBA is going to be okay. And I think the NHL should be okay. Again, that number to call one more time, 702-257-5396.
Well, I'll tell you this. The NBA has conducted, I think, 344 tests in the last week, and they've all been negative, so the bubble is working. NHL's got, I think, 33 of 3,000 tests that have come up positive, so they're doing a very good job as well. You've had some players opt out of pro football, but then you've also got a lot of players. I mean, these teams still have money to spend. They still have that salary cap. It's not hard to find players to replace them. I think all the seasons are going to happen, Brian. I don't think we're going to have an issue with that.
All right,
now, it's possible. It's very possible, actually, and I wouldn't even really care at this point. I think college football, that may not happen, but I do think college basketball is going to take place. But so far, they're doing a pretty good job of containing the virus as it stands.
As far as the NFL and college football is concerned, if there is a season, there ain't going to be fans. That's 100%.
It's 20% at Ohio State as of now, and that's what it sounds like. It's going to be kind of across the board.
That's not college football.
And one of the reasons why baseball, well, it's not. I agree, but one of the reasons why baseball had that issue is they were testing every 48 hours. They gave it to the teams to make the decisions. Now it's a league thing, which it should have been the whole time, and they're testing every single day. So that they've changed they're getting much more strict with it and more organized with it to prevent it from happening again. Because if baseball loses this season, it's a really big deal for the sport.
All right, let's go to your phone calls at 257-5396. Do you think Major League Baseball, the season's going to be fine after what happened to the Marlins? What do you think about the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, PGA Tour, NASCAR, whatever? 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck is up here next on the Vegas Take. Chuck, what's going on?
What's up, Chuck?
Hey, guys. My only problem with football season every year is that I spend too many hours in front of the TV. It's like my Saturday through Monday is all taken up. So having said that, how do you explain to small businesses that have been shut down because of the pandemic that you're going to allow these multi-billion-dollar companies to operate, and you can have 11 men on offense, 11 men on defense, playing against each other, and they're not going to social distance because it's hard to make a tackle.
Well, you can't.
Miss by 6. Okay, but my thing is, they're going to let these people, they're going to let them earn a living, but you're not allowed. They don't want to let somebody go get a haircut.
Yeah, well, you can't. It's a very valid point. It's a joke. It's a joke.
It's all about money.
I agree with you, and that's why I criticized Steve Sisolak yesterday in keeping the casinos open but closing small business. I agree.
Exactly.
We don't have something called consistency.
We need to take a year off.
I'll go further than this.
2 years off. If we need to take 2 years off to get this
Chuck,
under control.
Chuck, what does it tell you? And you're right. We have no consistency. When the president's own task force is saying and relaying different messages than the president. How can we be on the same page as a country when the president's on opposite ends of the spectrum than his own task force?
Hey, by the way,
Well,
Anthony.
here's the thing: is it's not just the president. It's not just this country. It's
I agree.
Everybody's having a rise right now, which means I don't care. Even if you say, okay, you can't have 100,000 people in the stadium, you think people aren't going to get together to watch the games at their house?
Of course
and
they
stuff
are.
like that.
Yeah.
They're going to all get together.
Well, I hear you, but I think there's a far cry between 20 people watching a football game in their house and 20,000 people in the stands. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Marge. Marge, you are next on the Vegas Take. Marge, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Marge?
Hi there. Welcome back, JD.
Oh, thanks.
I think if they can contain that bubble that they're doing in some of the games, like the hockey group just started up in Canada, et cetera, and almost hold these guys as prisoners, let's say.
Yeah.
I think that'll work. You're really on a tightrope with all this, but in baseball, they're going home, as I understand it. There is no bubble. It's very, very hard to contain. They're going all over.
Marge, can I add something? I agree with what you're saying. I'll even go NBA, NHL, everything. You got a bunch of guys in their 20s and 30s.
Exactly.
Okay, who have a ton of money, a lot of money. They have huge egos. Mm-hmm. I think it's fair for me to say most of these guys are in very good shape. They're good-looking guys. They have a lot of testosterone. You really think that all these men in their 20s and 30s are going to do what's best for the team and just...
You're absolutely right.
It's impossible.
They're in that invincible age,
Right.
Think back to when you were in your 20s. You know?
The good old days.
We've all been there. Yeah, the good old days.
Yeah, the good old days when I didn't have a belly and... I could, without getting too much into graphic.
Brian, what's going on here?
Without getting too much into graphic detail, let's just say I pleased the ladies a lot better 20 years ago than I do today. Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. But these guys, and you're right, and if they go out, I mean,
so you think
they're
that
kind of known,
Yeah,
I mean, they're recognizable, et cetera. I mean, people will gravitate to them.
You think that fraternizers, you think that playboys are going to spread this virus because of the amount of sexual partners that they have?
I wouldn't say
a lot of these guys are athletes.
I wouldn't say Lou Williams is a playboy, but the dope left the bubble to go to a funeral, Marge, and then he ends up going to a strip club wearing an NBA mask, and then his stupid friend puts the picture out.
It wasn't the smartest move by Lou.
Isn't he under scrutiny now too?
Yes,
for breaking rules.
Well, he got a 10-day sort of a quarantine suspension.
Yeah.
This is going to happen.
Good. It's a warning.
You're telling me NFL players in week-to-week games that are traveling are going to be able to be in a bubble, so to say? It's not going to happen. No. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Yeah, Marge, good call.
And trying to probably it's almost like prison. Even the ones that are in the bubble.
Yeah.
Try to maintain them. I mean, they're going to go stir crazy. I think
it's like a massive basketball camp is what it's. But
you're right.
But with adults that are getting paid just a lot of money.
You know what? If these
a large amount of money.
Thank you for the call, Marge. We appreciate it. By the way, if you're one of those people that sees a professional athlete out hurting society, hurting his own team, hurting the organization, putting people at risk.
Snitch.
Please take a picture of it and put it up on social media. It's funny how people...
Got to snitch.
Some people call them snitches.
Yeah, you got to be a snitch.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Just like I don't think there's anything wrong with dopes that are out there in society that are not wearing masks, that are putting us all at risk. I don't think it's a snitch. I think it's doing the right thing. By the way, before we take some more calls at 702-257-5396, this story that just came out with the Patriots. Have you heard about this? Hightower and Chung have opted out of the 2020 season with the Patriots, so there's a lot of jokes going. Is this going to happen more in the NFL? I don't think it's going to happen with guys that need the money. But for veterans and guys that don't need the money, I think you're going to hear about guys that are opting out. We've seen it in the NBA. We've seen it in every sport. It's not happening a lot, but it's happening. So I saw a funny meme. Is that what they call it? I saw a funny meme.
Well, it's also going to be based on the guarantees in their contracts. If they have guaranteed money in their contract, then they're going to be much more likely to opt out.
That's probably...
If they're not getting paid, then the chance of them playing is significantly higher.
That's probably certainly a part of it, but I saw a funny meme. It was Bill Belichick talking to a young kid in a supermarket, and you see the heading, and it says, "Hey, son, didn't you play high school ball? I might need you as my running back this year." I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Ron. Ron is next on the Vegas Take. Ron, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Ron?
Hey, Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, Brian, I kind of agree with Brian about them. Besides the virus going around, you don't know who's going to win, or without all the teams playing. And if the Marlins, took themselves out of it, then what do you got? You know what I mean? You don't have a complete season.
You lose the integrity of the season. I agree, and that was what I said yesterday when we had Johnny Damon on the line. And he agreed with me to an extent. If you have one or two teams that are not playing as many games, or a team that might even be out for a while, it hurts the integrity of the season. And I think Major League Baseball's integrity the entire season is up for grabs.
It becomes a lot more dangerous if it's the Dodgers or the Yankees. If it's a contender, if a contender gets put in this situation,
then the season would have been canceled.
Or two contenders. But a team like the Marlins, who did have a decent start, I think they're 2-1. But a team like the Marlins, they're not going to have. It's not going to be a major impact on the sport, whereas one of the contenders would.
What I said yesterday,
so you have to factor that in as well.
What I said yesterday is that if the Florida Marlins were one of the teams that were favored to win the World Series, I think Major League Baseball would consider canceling the entire season. I think the fact that the Marlins are not a very good team, they're not one of the top teams in the league, I think that certainly plays a role here.
And also with baseball, you have the option to do double headers down the road. They can do 4 or 5 double headers a couple of weeks down the road and still make the season work. Now, if it's 20 games, that's a whole different story. But if it's 5 to 7 games, you can make that work considering the structure.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and then in 60 seconds when we come back, if you're not a Joe Biden supporter and you don't like Joe Biden, you might like this story. I'll explain what that is coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN. All right, welcome back. It is The Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Before we get to Joe Biden, Ivanka Trump has made some news. She's sparking fury after sharing a challenge-accepted photo and telling followers to love and strengthen one another. If you supported women, you'd be outraged by your father. First daughter Ivanka Trump taking to Instagram, sharing a black and white throwback photo of herself pregnant with her now 4-year-old son, Theodore. She wrote that women are all mothers and should support one another while using the hashtag #ChallengeAccepted and women supporting women. With her post, Ivanka joined millions of women who have shared similar photos. Ivanka faced backlash for taking part in this challenge when the Trump administration has long been criticized for being anti-women. Critics argue that if she really supported women, she wouldn't support her father, while others posted face-vomiting emojis in the comments. The trend itself has faced criticism for being vapid and meaningless, with some insisting Ivanka's participation is proof of that. But anyway, let's get on to Joe Biden real quickly here, if I may. So I've been saying
please do, Brian.
For the last we don't want to talk about Ivanka Trump because she has total credibility.
She does.
Sure.
She's a very smart woman.
Yeah, I mean
she works hard.
Yeah, she's
an entrepreneur.
Sure.
She doesn't like sex trafficking.
Yeah, she married a great guy in Jared Kushner. He's got a great resume of losing his father's money. Anyway, let's move on to Joe Biden.
Great guy and being good with money. Are they correlated?
No, it just means he's a dumbass.
So if you're bad with money, you're not a great guy.
I think if you've done, let me repeat. I think if you've done nothing and accomplished nothing in your life, you're a dumbass. So I'm trying to make it as clear as I possibly can.
And if you're a dumbass, then you're also not a great guy.
I think if you're a dumbass and you marry somebody that is a dumbass, I think it speaks to you.
So
yes, I do.
So to be a great guy, you have to be smart and good with money.
No, to be a great guy, I think you need to have accomplished something in your life by the time you're in your mid-40s. I think that's a fair statement to make. Right. So moving on to Joe Biden, I've been saying this for maybe 8-9 months. Certainly since the Democratic debates, I've been saying that if Joe Biden is the frontrunner in the Democratic Party right now, which he is against Donald Trump, I've said he will probably choose Kamala Harris as his vice president. So this is something really weird. You know, we all, in this day and age, a lot of members of the press, they take pictures. I remember it was the press secretary, Kayleigh, her binder of notes, which was absolutely ridiculous.
What was that? I thought that was great organization.
I think that
was outstanding, Brian.
Okay, well, I think it's ridiculous, like I think what Joe Biden is doing is ridiculous.
Being prepared is ridiculous?
Being prepared is fine.
She's so prepared every day.
Being prepared is fine, but I think when you have to have segments in your binder of hate and things like that, I think it's absurd that that's what she spends her time doing. But Joe Biden, let me go to Joe Biden now. So he has been pretty tight-lipped about who he's going to pick as his vice president. I've said for all along is I think it's going to be Kamala Harris. So he did take questions from reporters yesterday, but he held notes, which was captured by the Associated Press photographer. Harris's name was scrawled across the top, followed by 5 talking points. One of those talking points was, "Do not hold grudges against Kamala Harris." As you remember, back in the day, when they were on the debate stage, Kamala Harris went hard at Joe Biden about racial inequality and a couple of other subjects.
And then Joe Biden called her kid. Remember that?
I'm not aware of that.
He called her kid.
But I do think that's an issue, because if you're seriously considering, and I don't think anybody would disagree with me on this, the Biden campaign, they're seriously considering Kamala Harris as the vice president. I think that's very fair.
Well, I'll tell you this: Politico actually released a statement yesterday. Accidentally, it was taken down shortly after. But in that statement by Politico, it actually named Kamala Harris as the vice presidential candidate, and that was yesterday during the afternoon.
Well, I don't know if that we don't know 100%. That doesn't mean that it's 100%.
No, of course not.
But it's just been my personal opinion that I think Kamala would be his best choice as a black woman, someone who I think is very good on the debate stage. I think she's a very intelligent woman. And again, this has nothing to do with politics. She's a very intelligent woman. She's accomplished in her life as a prosecutor. She happens to be a woman of color. She happens to be a woman. And I do believe she has very good debating skills, and she's fiery on stage. And I think that's what Biden needs, quite frankly. And I think, when Kamala Harris, and even though it's only
some enthusiasm, I agree.
Even though it's only a vice presidential debate, and I don't think it means that much in the grand scheme of things, I think she will wipe the floor clean with Jerk Circle Pence. I really do. I really do. So, yes, I do believe that Kamala Harris. But I find that a little troubling. And if you're a Democrat, which I'm not, but if you're a Joe Biden supporter, which I'm not really even a Joe Biden supporter, I've just said I'm probably going to vote for Joe Biden because I hate Donald Trump. But if you're seriously considering someone to work with as your vice president, and you have to be reminded in notes, do not hold grudges against Kamala Harris, that's an issue. So that only leads me to believe one thing. He holds grudges towards Kamala Harris. He's not very fond of Kamala Harris. Now, if that's the case, how can you pick her as your vice president? And you know what? Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. But I think that it's his campaign trying to remind him, don't say anything negative and don't slip up. Don't say anything negative about Kamala Harris. Listen, Donald Trump says something negative about somebody in his administration every day, okay? But there's a difference here, because Biden, if you pick Kamala as your vice president, you can't say something negative about her. It just makes you look foolish, and he hasn't. But the fact that his campaign has to remind him about that, to me anyway, is a little troubling. That's all.
Well, yeah, Kamala Harris, she had a reputation for putting African-American men in California in prison for very minor marijuana charges. So if Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's VP, they're going to have to be pro legal marijuana across the board. Otherwise, they're going to get a lot of flack about that. And it's going to be used, and also the fact that she has been considered to be kind of sleeping up the ladder to get to where she
you know
is.
What?
I'm just saying all those different
sleeping up the ladder.
I'm just saying all those different things are going to be factored in. So
who is saying
it's
that?
a very important decision.
Where's the proof, and who is saying that she has slept her? I have a problem with what you just said.
Why do you have a problem with it, Brian?
She slept her way up the ladder. Where's your proof of that? Who is saying that she had sex to get to where she is? That's a misogynistic thing to say.
No, it's not.
Where's your proof then?
I'm just saying
she had sex with men to get to where she is.
I'm just saying people. We've discussed it on the show before.
Who said that?
We have had conversations like this on the show.
And I'm asking you a question. Who directly has said that? Where's the evidence?
I will look it up for you, and I will get it for you tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I'd really love to know.
Of course, absolutely.
Who is claiming that Kamala Harris had sex to get to where she is?
But Brian, we've had this conversation before.
I've never agreed with it if you've said it before, and I don't agree with it now. I think that's a misogynistic thing to say, to assume that she had sex with men to get to where she is.
First
She's
of all,
a very intelligent woman.
I'm not saying that I'm assuming anything. I'm saying there's conversations out there.
Donald Trump slept with porn stars to get to where he is. Come on.
And obviously you had no problem with that before he became president.
I made a joke, by the way.
Oh, okay.
That was making a joke because I think what you just said is very disrespectful to women and to
How is that disrespectful?
How you're saying she slept her way to the top?
I'm not saying that.
That's what you just said.
I'm saying people are saying.
Who cares what idiots say?
It's
Who
not.
cares?
It's not idiots, Brian. But I'll get you. I'll get all the information for you. I'll get all the. We've actually had several callers call in and talk.
Yeah, because callers are always right, and they're always very intelligent.
I don't know whether your chips are malfunctioning.
Yeah, right. Okay. I'm just saying the conversation is out there.
So what? The conversation is out there with QAnon that Jews own all the banks. Doesn't mean that's true either. But anyway, we can continue this conversation into tomorrow. I'm going to stand by what I said. I don't think there's any evidence to support the fact that even if Kamala Harris has had sex with powerful men, that she got to where she was because of that. I think that's absurd, and I'm not going to make that assumption. I think it's very disrespectful.
That's part of the baggage that she comes with.
I don't think if a woman has sex, that's baggage. I've had sex with women. That's not baggage. We got to go.
I'm not saying that it's.
All right.
I'm just saying that that's something that will have to be answered to.
Well,
that'll be something that'll be used against her and Joe Biden.
And that doesn't make it right. We got to go, folks. Sean
but not
Hannity
as
is
much as
coming
marijuana.
up next.